Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you remember my first video, I made my son this Pennywise bed, but he kept just throwing trash and food into the little Pennywise sewer scene, so I decided to take it out after having to move his bed and rearrange his room. Had it sitting around, decided to make a lamp out of it. I knew I wanted to make the base into a sewer cover, so I drew out the pattern after finding some inspiration online for what I wanted. Here's a little bit of the drawing that I had so far, just drawing it on. Put the stencils for the lettering on, cut those out with the Cricut, stuck them on, and started dremeling out the main channels between the little squares, and then used a smaller bit to start drumming around all the letters, using the stencils as a guide to cut them out. So here it is, finished, a little bit closer detail on it. But it's basically XPS foam, 3 layers, a 1/2 inch. XPS foam that I glued together. Cut out the center to have Pennywise sit down inside of it, so it wasn't so tall and looked so awkward making the sewer scene. And as far as the sewer part goes, just some cheap wood cut into a box, rounded out the sides there, and then painted the XPS foam sewer cover black, and then did a dusting of a dark red on it to simulate rust, and then went through with the airbrush, lightly coating with some yellow, I believe goldenrod yellow it was called, and then some burnt umber. Here it is finished. Got that rust look, and then added the details to the sewer. We'll go over that later. And here I am printing the balloon top. The one I had for my son's bed got broke. I believe it took a total of 28 hours. This was about my 4th or 5th attempt. All the other ones were just too thin and kept breaking, but this one's double walled and a little bit smaller than the other ones that I had planned on printing, but came out fine. go into the details. After airbrushing the sewer cover, coated it in super hard Mod Podge, did a couple coats of that, and went back a little while later and kind of dry brushed some silver dry rub and buff on the lettering just to make them stand out a little bit more, because after I did the super hard coat Mod Podge on here, I also did a satin clear coat, and everything kind of ran together a little bit, but it kind of gives that wet look that I was going for. And then just the it painted that with red acrylic. And then the sewer, after finished making that out of wood, contoured the edges there. Did a silver gray for the concrete, mixed it with some sawdust to give it some texture, and then the metal grate opening, did that in a flat black, mixed it with some baking soda or baking powder, give it some texture. And then after putting super gloss Mod Podge on it, it kind of took away from that texture part, but gives it that wet look. And then the grass, just painted it green just to give it a base, and then layer of Mod Podge, and then just did some blocking on there with some static grass, and then put a layer of gloss clear and Mod Podge over that to help seal it down. Pennywise, I painted up a little bit from when I originally had him in my son's bed. Painted his face white to give him a little extra contrast. And I really don't like painting with white because it streaks, you got to do several coats, but I think this really gave it the look of him having makeup on. And then just re-highlighted the reds and the blacks. And his eyes originally had yellow LEDs in there, but for a brief second in the movie when he's in the sewer, you can kind of see him glow white, and that's what I was kind of going for this time. So I used UV LEDs in there, and also painted the inside a little bit better so none of the light bled through. The hand is got the two posts and springs underneath, and then the switch is underneath here with a little piece of cloth to cover it up, and that's all glued down to the finger. That way you can just turn it on and off. The water, I used ultra clear silicone and just kind of put it on there, let it set up a little bit, because I noticed when it was drying it was starting to level out on its own. So when it was starting to set up, I just went through with a stick or something and just kind of pushed and made grooves, making it look like movement of water, and did the same on this side. The SS Georgie is actually paper. I folded it up from a little sheet of paper myself and just wrote SS Georgie on there, and then covered that with several coats of super hard coat Mod Podge and glued it to the sewer thing and at the bottom. That way way. It's not going anywhere, and it's a little flimsy, but it's stiff enough to where it's not going to get tore up as long as you don't play with it. And then the pole, just a gold threaded lamp rod, and wrapped it in a balloon string. Just went all the way around and just kept wrapping it. And at the top, just made a little piece, make it look like it's going and attached to the balloon. I wrapped a piece around and tied it, covered that in Mod Podge. The balloon, 3D printed. I still haven't decided yet if I'm going to put some magnets in it, because right now it's just sitting on top, as you can see, and lifts off. So if you wanted to move it around a little bit, you'll have to take that off to move it, where magnets will help a little bit, but I'd have to get super small ones, and they're not really that strong, so I'll keep thinking on it. That's that. And all the electronics are basically inside the XPS foam. And in the bottom, I had some extra cloth left over from when I made his bed, and used that to hide the bottom, because there are 4 screws. Glued this down, and then the screw, 2 screws on each side, up through the base, all the way up through, to help hold it on. And then a little bit of the cord for the main lamp had to route through the bottom. So use that to cover it all up, and then put my Micah Makes on there, signed it, covered that all in Mod Podge, and then added these little felt wafers around so it doesn't scratch up a tabletop. Had to kind of piece them together because it wasn't big enough. Just a long piece, and had to cut it up and just stick them side by side. But from afar, it doesn't look too bad, and plus it's going to be on the bottom. But just added a nice little detail. And so also this part, as you know, is XPS foam, and then the bottom is just MDF wood to give it some weight, along with the sewer top. The sides were hollow, as I just put walls on the outside, so you had all this space in there, and filled all that up to the edge here and there with epoxy. So that added some weight to it and gave me something to run the screws up through. And then just painted all the inside black. And the Loser Club logo, I airbrushed. Not too bad for my first time airbrushing letters. And airbrushed that, and then I airbrushed the V, but it was just very light red, so I went back over it with a paintbrush and acrylic red and covered it up a little bit more, so it stood out a little bit better. And the side, just put I am the Eater of Worlds, and then the insignia, I guess, that was on the door, also featured in the books. And of course, his famous meeting with Georgie, had to put on that side. Hiya, Georgie. But yeah, that's about it. Came out very nice and creepy. Thanks again for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe. Hope you liked it. Hit that bell notification. hopefully put out a new video pretty soon.